So class, we are talking about the rotational motion in continuation only. Today we have to discuss in detail of the rolling motion. Of course, when I'm talking about the rolling motion means I'm willing to talk about the motion which is without slipping. It means a body is made to roll on the surface, but it's not slipping, it's simply rolling. Rolling without slipping. So of course, when I'm rotating the wheel, like you move in a vehicle, then wheels are getting rotated. Then what is there? We are having both the motions with us, translational motion as well as the rotational motion. It means we are moving ahead along the line. At the same time, the wheel is rotating about its axis of rotation. So that is the body is rolling, but if it is not slipping, it is simply having the pure translational motion and pure rotational motion. Then it means I'm talking about the rolling motion, which is without slipping. The body is not getting slipping down, it is simply rolling. And with the roll, when the body is rolling, like if I take this ring, it rolls. Then when it is rolling, then along with the rolling, it is moving ahead also. So it is having the translational motion as well as the rotational motion. So this way you can understand that I'm talking about the rolling without slipping. Now we want to see what about the velocity at the lowermost point, at the center of mass of this wheel or ring. It means if this is the ring, then this is the center of the ring will be taken as its center of mass. Then velocity along the line, that is your velocity of the center of mass. And whenever a body is having the pure rotation, here at the lowest point, B point, there this particle, B particle, I can say, it is momentarily at rest. So this B particle is momentarily at rest when I am talking about the rolling motion without slip. So this is the condition with me for the rolling motion without slipping, that this particle which is at the lowest point should be at rest. Momentarily at rest, it means at that instant when the rolling is taking place. So when I take about the velocity here at any point P, that is its radius vector, of course at this point we can talk about the this is the point P where I'm willing to find. This is the linear velocity, you can say, at this point due to the rotational motion, and this is the due to the translational motion. So these two are the velocities. So resultant velocity at this point, that is given by Vp, which is given by the applying the parallelogram law of vectors. You can find at any instant whenever the body is having the pure rotation without slipping. Then of course this V rotational is always perpendicular to this radius vector, and VCM is the direction and along the line when the body is moving. It means that is the velocity of the center of mass. So here when I do take the resultant of these two velocities, I'm getting velocity at a point, P point, that is the resultant velocity. So at any point where I want to find the velocity, I can find. Now my aim is to find the velocity here at the top. If I'm supposing omega is the angular velocity, then of course capital R, if I take as the radius, then your V at any instant when we are talking about here the B point, then VCM, it is equals to R omega. VCM should be equals to your R omega or omega R, whatever you write. If R is the radius, omega is the angular velocity. So that is the condition for the body to have the pure rotation. Then here V equals to R omega, VCM along the right hand side, and V r omega, which is at this point due to the rotation. They are equal and opposite, and they are going to cancel each other, and then your this point will be momentarily at rest. So here, if you want to find the velocity at the top, that is of course by adding v top is of course adding both the velocities, this vcm plus r omega. So at the top, the velocity is twice of r omega. At the center, it is equals to r omega. At B point, it will be 0. Important point with you is I'm having a solid cylinder which is rolling down an inclined plane without slipping. This is the condition which we have to apply all the times, that we are talking about pure rotation, pure rolling motion. It means no slipping is there. So I'm having a solid cylinder, only a small part of the solid cylinder is shown. Actually, this pen can be taken as the cylinder. If this is uniform, means no nib is there. So this can be taken as the cylinder. So this cylinder is made to roll down an inclined plane. So I'm making this cylinder to roll down an inclined plane, and what I want to find is I want to find the acceleration with which it will come down. That is my aim. So here when I'm having this solid cylinder, then I can take about the various forces which are acting on the cylinder. If this angle is taken as theta of the inclination, mg is the weight of the body, m is the mass of the cylinder, if I suppose, then mg weight is acting towards the center of earth, then this angle is theta, then this angle will of course will be theta. You can draw it geometrically. Then if I resolve it into components, this is your mg cos theta, mg sin theta will come perpendicular to it, simply by the knowledge of resolving of vectors. Then frictional force which is coming here, that is of course opposite to the direction of mg sin theta. So net force which is acting on this cylinder to bring the body down, that is given by mg sin theta minus f. And if I suppose that A is the acceleration, then you can write F, it is equals to ma. And this frictional force yours is going to provide the torque which is required for this cylinder to roll down. So torque which is provided, that will be given by the F into this R. If I again R I am taking as the radius of this cylinder. And of course you can see normal reaction force N, that is balancing mg cos theta. So you should be able to write these equations, and you should be knowing that the frictional force only is providing the torque which is required by this body to roll down. So when torque, it is given by force, frictional force into the radius, and I know that torque, it is equals to the moment of inertia into alpha. Alpha is angular acceleration. So if I equate both these values of the torque, then I can write Fr, it is equals to I alpha. Or from here you can take the value of F, frictional force, that is equals to I alpha upon capital R. Now because alpha, it is equals to A upon R, or A equals to, you can write A equals to alpha R. So from there you can take the value of alpha, because you know the relation between the linear acceleration and angular acceleration. So by that relation, you have to put the value of alpha here. I am getting frictional force is equals to moment of inertia into linear acceleration divided by r square, where capital R is of course the radius of this cylinder. Now you put this value of the frictional force in first equation number 1. If I say put this value of the frictional force in equation number 1, and then you simply work out with the things. I'm getting capital M of this mass of the cylinder into A linear acceleration, that is equals to mg sin theta minus frictional force. And if I put the value of the frictional force, that is equals to IA upon capital M R square. So I will be able to get A plus IA upon M R square, that is equals to G sine. And from here you can get the value of A. If I take A common out of these both the terms, inside I will get 1 plus I upon mr square. So I'm getting this value of the linear acceleration, that is coming out to be G sine theta divided by 1 plus I upon mr square. This you may take as the general relation which you may use in the numericals directly. If it is not a cylinder, any other body is there, you can take the moment of inertia for that given body and you can find the linear acceleration when it is made to roll down on an inclined plane, angle theta or whatever angle is given to you in the question. So this result you can directly keep it in your mind, or you can quickly work out with the equations and get this result. Now, the body is the cylinder, solid cylinder. So I know that the moment of inertia is half mr square. So if I put the value of I here, half mr square, I can get the value of linear acceleration simply by putting the value in this relation, that is equals to G sine theta divided by 1 plus I. I is half mr square. So this mr square will get cancelled and I'm left with 1 plus 1 by 2. It means 3 by 2. So I'm getting A equals to 2 by 3 G sine theta. So this is the result with me for the linear acceleration which will be obtained if a solid cylinder is made to roll down on inclined plane. So this is your result. This is the result for the solid cylinder. If any other body is given, you can always find the linear acceleration by simply putting the moment of inertia of that particular body. Because you know the value of A, and the frictional force is mg sine theta minus ma. If I put the value of A here, 2 by 3 g sine theta, I'm able to get the frictional force which is there in this particular case is coming out to be 1 by 3 mg sine theta. And of friction also, that is given by the frictional force divided by normal reaction. Normal reaction is mg cos theta. So that is coming out to be 1 by 3 tan theta. So this is also if, because you have done with the friction, if they relate the rolling motion with the friction, you should for that. And if I want the body to not to slip or to prevent slipping, then this mu static should be greater than 1 by 3 tan theta. Because if it is equating, then this is able to roll down. So it should be always greater than to prevent the slipping. The results for the solid cylinder, if they give you any other solid body and you know the moment of inertia, you can directly use these terms in solving the numericals. I want to now find what about the kinetic energy of rolling motion. It means the same diagram is there. I'm having a body which is rolling down an inclined plane, and what about the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy total will be given by the translational kinetic energy plus the rotational kinetic energy, because we have said rolling motion, even if I am talking about pure rolling without slipping, it consists of the translational and the rotational motion. So rolling motion, it consists of translational and rotational motion. So I have to add both the kinetic energies, translational kinetic energy and rotational kinetic energy, to get the total kinetic energy. So if you put the value half mv, v of course for the center of mass square, plus half I omega square. I here, moment of inertia in general, you can write it by mk square, and of course k will be different for different bodies, and for that is radius of gyration, you can always find for different bodies as we have discussed in the previous lectures. So now if I put the value of I here, that is half mk square, so I'm getting half common, And here if you put the value of omega, because you know V, it is equals to R omega. So from here you can take the value for the omega also, which is coming out to be VCM upon R. So now if you put these values of I and omega, I'm getting this equation. And then if I take half mVCM square common, inside I'm getting 1 plus K square upon R square. This is the total kinetic energy with you. Now because I'm taking the cylinder is rolling down, then I, it is equals to mR square by 2. But I in general, in terms of radius of gyration, I am able to write it as mk square. So from here you can find the value of k, which is equals to r by root 2. There is no problem. If you want to write here I directly, also you can write mr square by 2. Again you will be getting the same result. This is because you want to write in terms of radius of gyration. You should not get confused with the things. I have written in this way. So both the ways are correct. So this is, you can put the value of K and you can find the kinetic energy for whatever body they have being asked. So this is the general relation for the kinetic energy for any body which is rolling down. With you is similar cases I have taken. If I'm having a point mass which is tied with a thread and it is, a string is wound on a solid cylinder. It means this is the cylinder and the string is wound on this, and another end is free. On that end there is a mass m is attached. So when the mass m is attached, this is another diagram to show only the front view of the things with you. That is mg weight is acting downward, T tension here in the thread is acting, and of course r is the radius of the cylinder. Then because the body is coming down, so this MA, you can write it as mg minus T tension in the thread. For this case, you should be knowing that it is the tension force which is providing you the torque. So torque, that is equals to the tension force into the lever arm, which will be equals to the radius of this cylinder. So I can write torque, it is equals to T into R. But if I take I as the moment of inertia, then torque can be written as I into alpha. So on equating these two, I am getting TR, it is equals to I alpha. I will be calculating the value of T, which is coming out to be I alpha upon R. So now this value I alpha upon R, I can write it in terms of linear acceleration A, because A, it is equals to alpha R. So alpha I can write A upon R. So I'm getting T equals to IA upon R square. This value of T you have to put in the equation number 1. Now when you put this value of T here, I'm getting from here A cylinder. So with what acceleration the mass will come down, that you have to find. So simply by framing the equations, you can put the values, and by solving, see these both the terms of linear acceleration, again you have to take together. A can be taken common. Here inside I am getting 1 plus I upon mr square, that is equals to mg. So m on both the sides will get cancelled, and A, it is equals to g divided by 1 plus I upon mr square. This is the expression with you for the linear acceleration with which the mass will come down. Again, for different bodies, like here I'm having the cylinder, so I can put half mr square and I will be able to get the result. So similar to that, you can always find the accelerations for different bodies on which you can tie the thread. If you have to find the angular acceleration alpha, that is of course A upon R, so you can put this value here for A, and I'm getting G divided by 1 plus I upon mr square. And you can find the tension also by putting the value of A, that is equals to G upon 1 plus I upon mr square. So you simply put the values and get the results for the tension also. results you need not cram. You can simply solve at that time when the question is being asked from you. Of course, not specially mentioned. That is why I'm saying no need to cram all these results, but because the questions are there in the back exercise of your NCERT, so at times if you have to find, this is by your previous knowledge of the tension and the frictional force, these examples you can take and you can work out with the things. Like I'm having, this is the question which is there with you. I'm reading Bache the question for you. Question says, three bodies, a ring, a solid cylinder and a solid sphere. They roll down the same inclined plane without slipping. They start from rest. The radii of the bodies are same. When the bodies reaches the ground with maximum velocity. This is a question. So you have to use your previous knowledge that if I am having a body which is kept on an inclined plane, it is rolling down. So here at the topmost point, the energy, total energy, that is equals to the potential energy. So if I take this height as the h, so this is the height with you, h is the height, it means I may take, then here the potential energy will be given by mgh if m is the mass of the body. I'm taking the radius as same, r can be taken as the radius for all the bodies. So you have to simply apply the conservation of energy, that the potential energy here at this point will be equals to the kinetic energy here. Kinetic energy gained, but you have to keep in mind that when our body is rolling down an inclined plane, the total kinetic energy is equals to the translational kinetic energy plus rotational kinetic energy. So you have to put the values for potential energy, that is mgh equals to half mv square plus half I omega square. So now if you simply frame this equation, you can take the cases like for ring, put the value of moment of inertia, for cylinder and for sphere you put the values, or the another way to write the things in terms of the radius of gyration, that if I say that I it is equals to mk square, so I can put the value I equals to mk square, and omega also you can write v equals to r omega. So for omega also you can write the things, omega will be equals to v upon r. So from there you can take half mv square out and I'm left inside is 1 by 1 plus k square upon r square. So the term with me is mgh, that is equals to half mv square into 1 plus k square upon r. So the small m will get cancelled on both the sides and you can get value for v here, expression for v, that is square root of 2gh divided by 1 plus k square upon r. Now, if you know the moment of inertia, you know the value of k square. Like for ring, moment of inertia is mr square. So it means k square is equals to r square. So you put the value of k equals to r square, I'm getting equals to velocity here is square root of gh. Similarly, if you take for solid cylinder, moment of inertia is half mr square, which is equals to mk square. So from comparison, you can see k square it is equals to 1. So you put the value in this expression for v, and I'm able to get the velocity for the cylinder, which is coming out to be square root of 4gh divided by, simply by putting the values, and you have to work out with the things. A solid sphere, if you take, then I it is equals to 2 by 5 mr square, which is equals to mk square. So from here also you can take the value for k square, which is coming out to be 2 by 5 r square. And when you put the values here, I'm getting velocity for the solid sphere is square root of 2gh divided by 1 plus 2 by 5, because r square and k square will get cancelled. I'm getting it equals to square root of 10 GH divided by 7. So it means you have to write the values for the moment of inertias, or directly if you remember the value of radius of gyration, you can put that. And from here you can see that the sphere is finding the greatest velocity and ring is finding the least velocity simply by putting the values. So this way, of course, you can work out with more questions. Keep things up to this for today. Thank you everyone.